In a town in Finland, Tinja, a young gymnast, and her family display their seemingly perfect life on social media, but the reality is far from resembling the scenes her mother posts online. One day, a crow invades the house and starts destroying the decorative objects while trying to find a way out. When it finally calms down, the bird lands on the living room chandelier and ends up knocking it over onto the coffee table. Seeing the animal on the ground, Tinja uses a towel to catch it and intends to release it in the garden, but her mother decides to catch it and eliminates the crow with her bare hands. After finishing off the animal, Sophia asks her daughter to throw the bird's body in the trash, and the girl has no choice but to follow her mother's order. Suddenly, Tinja hears the barking of a dog and approaches the fence to see what's on the other side. At that moment, the young woman meets Rieta, her new neighbor, and asks permission to caress Rosa. However, when she touches the dog, she ends up being bitten, so Rieta apologizes for what happened and says that Rosa has never bitten anyone before. That night, Tinja watches a video that her mother has posted on her channel, where she explains her family's perfect day-to-day life. Watching the video of her practicing for her competition, the girl is disappointed with her performance and says that she needs to train hard if she wants to win the championship. At this point, she takes the opportunity to tell her mother that she has met her new neighbor and says that Rieta has invited her to her house the next day. However, Sophia reminds her daughter that she needs to concentrate on her competition and has no time to waste on distractions. In the early hours of the morning, Tinja hears a strange noise and leaves the house to investigate. Looking in the trash can, the young woman discovers that the crow's body has disappeared and follows the noise into the forest. After a few minutes of walking, Tinja finds the badly injured crow lying on the grass and tries to help it. However, when she realizes that the bird has no chance of survival, the girl picks up a rock and decides to eliminate it in order to put an end to the animal's suffering. After finishing off the crow, the girl notices the presence of a nest and decides to take the egg she finds inside. As the mother crow has lost her life, Tinja decides to take care of that egg so that the baby can be born healthy and hides it under her pillow. The next morning, the gymnast leaves home early to go to the gym, but during training, her coach notices that she isn't managing to complete her acrobatics successfully and tells her that if she continues like this, Tinja won't be able to take part in the competition. Disappointed with her performance, at the end of the training session, the girl runs home and sees her mother with the man who has been hired to fix the chandelier in her house. When she realizes that her daughter has arrived home, Sophia and Taro try to disguise what they are doing, and, later, the woman gives her daughter a special outfit so that she can shine in the competition. After convincing her daughter not to say anything about what happened, Sophia reveals that she has to go on a business trip, but will be back soon. A few days later, when the woman arrives home, Matthias runs to hug her, but Sophia shows no affection for her son and pushes him away from her body. Every night since what happened to the crow, Tinja has followed the egg's development and noticed that it is growing beyond normal, but she can't tell anyone about it because she's afraid that her mother will destroy it. The following week, Sophia decides to accompany her daughter to the gym and is proud of the girl's progress, as her acrobatics are now much better than before. That week, Rieta also joins the academy and the coach is impressed to see the girl's excellent performance. Afraid that her daughter will lose her place in the competition, Sophia stays late with her at the gym and forces her to train to perfection. However, after a few hours of training, Tinja begins to feel severe pain in her hands and her mother forces her to continue. At dawn, the young girl touches the egg with her wounded hand and realizes that a beam of red light is forming around her fingers. The next morning, during a conversation with her daughter, Sophia confesses that she is falling in love with Taro and says that she hasn't felt anything like that for a long time. According to her, Taro's arrival was the best thing that ever happened in her life, so she wants to invest in this relationship. Once again, Sophia says that she will be away for the weekend and asks Tinja to keep that secret so that her father doesn't suspect anything. As the young woman's pain and resentment grows, the egg she keeps in her room also increases in size and, little by little, Tinja begins to feel part of it. One night, as she cries hugging that egg, the shell begins to crack and a frightening hand comes out of it. Terrified, the girl hides inside the closet and watches through the crack in the door as the monster that was hidden inside the egg comes to life. Suddenly, the creature approaches and begins to stare at her, but when it hears Yanni approaching, it flees out of the window. When he hears the sound of breaking glass, the man goes into his daughter's room to check that she is all right, and Tinja says that the sound was a bird invading her room. In the morning, the young woman helps her father collect the shards of glass from the garden, and Yanni says that the bird was injured, as he finds blood stains on the grass. The following night, Tinja hears a noise coming from her window, and, when she removes the cardboard that was used to temporarily cover the hole, the monster invades her room again. The animal resembles a baby bird, as it doesn't yet have feathers, but its size is completely disproportionate to that of other animals of its species. Seeing a shard of glass through the creature's arm, Tinja decides to help it and soon realizes that the animal is harmless. When she notices that the bird's body is covered in a strange slime, the girl decides to give him a bath and, little by little, the pair begin to deepen their connection. After her bath, Tinja takes the creature to her room and decides to call it Allie. That night, the animal sleeps under her bed and the young woman realizes that she will have to be very careful that no one discovers her secret. While she sleeps, the girl dreams of Allie attacking the neighbor's dog and is woken up in the middle of the night by the bird, who has brought her mother a present. Looking over, Tinja comes across Rose's headless body, and she throws up into seeing the frightening scene. At that moment, Allie begins to devour all the dirt and, when the day dawns, Tinja quickly buries the dog's body in the garden, near a flower bed. Later, on her way home from school, the girl decides to stop by a bird store to buy some feed and comes across Rieta and her friends. The girl asks why her neighbor missed practice that morning and Tinja says she missed it because she got up late. Together, the girls walk back home and Rieta asks for help spreading posters with Rose's picture, as she claims that her dog ran away from home during the night. Not knowing what to say, Tinja decides to help her and, when she gets home, she meets her mother, who gives her a present. Seeing his sister receive a present, Matthias is saddened to learn that his mother didn't bring him anything and goes to collect Rose's body, which was buried in the garden. The young man saw his sister bury the dog's body and decides to expose Tinja to his parents, but ends up being accused of lying and is punished. Before going to his room, Matthias pushes his sister and, when Tinja hits her head on the floor, Allie feels her pain. Immediately, the animal comes out of hiding and Matthias sees its shadow walking around the house, so he decides to break into his sister's room to find out what she's hiding. Looking under the bed, the boy comes across the monster and Tinja starts writhing on the floor. When Allie is about to attack Matthias, Sophia helps her daughter calm down and, as soon as Tinja regains consciousness, the bird hides back under the bed. Frightened, Matthias runs to tell his mother what has just happened and Sophia goes to check what her daughter is hiding, but all she finds is a blanket. At this point, the woman smells something bad coming from inside the closet and, when she opens it, she finds the clothes she gave her daughter to wear in the competition completely destroyed. While the woman tries to understand what's going on, Allie hides in the ceiling of the closet, so Tinja takes all the blame for the damage. Later, the young woman tries to feed the creature, but it refuses to eat the food. So the young woman decides to chew the food before giving it to the bird. After feeding it, Tinja begins to sing it to sleep and, as she strokes it, she notices that a few locks of blonde hair are growing there. That night, while the girl is asleep, Allie gets up and starts walking around the house. After leaving the bathroom, as she is walking back to her room, Matthias comes across this frightening creature and runs away. The monster then goes into Sophia's room and starts touching her. When she wakes up, the woman feels a strange substance on her skin and tries to find out what it is. When she sees her bedroom door open, she starts to worry and grabs a knife before going out to investigate, as she believes her house has been broken into. While sneaking around the house, the woman is surprised by her son who runs to hug her because he is convinced that his sister is a monster. In a way, the young man isn't wrong, because that bird is becoming more and more like Tinja every day and the girl is starting to treat it as if it were her younger sister. In the morning, Sophia decides to accompany her daughter to another training session and is furious when she realizes that Rieta is a much better gymnast than her daughter. Seeing the girls becoming friends, Sophia doesn't miss the opportunity to interfere and stimulate a sense of competition between them. At the end of the training session, the woman offers Rieta a lift, but she prefers to walk home alone. During the journey, Tinja is overcome by a feeling of envy, for she is afraid that her neighbor will steal her place in the gymnastics competition. In response to this feeling, Allie decides to act, because she can feel all of Tinja's emotions. Then, on her way home, Rieta realizes that she is being followed and hastens her steps. Although she feels she is being watched, when she looks back, she sees no one and this frightens her even more. Suddenly, she decides to stop in the middle of the street and sees a shadow approaching. This time, Rieta manages to see who is behind her and comes face to face with Allie, who now looks scarier than ever. Terrified, the girl starts screaming in despair and, at that moment, Tinja starts freaking out inside the car. Seeing her daughter struggling in the right seat, Sophia stops the vehicle to try to calm her down and says that everything will be fine, as she believes her daughter is just having anxiety attacks because of the competition. When she gets home, Tinja runs to her room and finds Allie's beak on the floor, as the animal is in the process of metamorphosing. That weekend, Sophia informs her husband that she is going away again and decides to take Tinja with her. This time, however, the woman doesn't want to hide from her husband that she's having another relationship and tells him in front of him that she's going to Taro's house. It's been a while since Yanni realized that his marriage was failing, so when he discovered that his wife was in another relationship, he wasn't surprised. On Saturday, Tinja visits her stepfather's house and Taro says he's happy to see her again. Just then, the girl hears a baby crying and her mother takes her to meet the man's daughter. According to Sophia, Helmi's mother perished during childbirth, and since then Taro has had to look after his daughter alone. That night, Tinja can't sleep. As well as feeling uncomfortable in that place, she is terrified by the baby's incessant crying and, in the middle of the night, she receives a visit from Ali. Seeing that monster outside her window, Tinja isn't scared. Instead, she's happy to have a familiar companion to spend the night with. The next morning, over coffee, Sophia receives a call and is told about the incident with Rieta. 2 nights ago, after the attack, the girl was seriously injured and had to be hospitalized. So Tinja goes to visit her in hospital and feels guilty when she sees the girl all bruised up and missing one of her hands. As she approaches the bed, Rieta grabs her arm and starts screaming, so the girl runs away frightened. When she gets home, Tinja is outraged and asks why Ali attacked her neighbor. Furious, the girl starts hitting herself, because she knows that the monster feels everything that happens to her. At that moment, Ali holds her arm and tries to calm her down, as she realizes that the girl is very distressed. After receiving the creature's support, Tinja ends up falling asleep and, when she wakes up, realizes that Ali is practically identical to her. In an attempt to make friends with his girlfriend's daughter, Taro decides to give Tinja a present and the girl decides to show him some of the stunts she can do. However, she fails when she tries to make a star without using her hands and tries to reproduce the movement several times, but ends up falling to the ground. Noticing the girl's frustration, Taro asks her if she really likes being a gymnast and Tinja reveals that this was her mother's dream. As she was unable to fulfill her dream, Sophia transferred this responsibility to her daughter and Tinja tries very hard not to disappoint her. Later, while feeding Ali, the girl hears Taro knocking on the door and tries to stop him from opening it. However, the man manages to push her off and runs into Ali who, on seeing him, runs towards him to attack him. Not understanding what's going on, Taro asks Tinja to calm down and ends up getting his hand caught in the crack of the door. When he finally manages to free himself, he goes to bandage his wound and Tinja approaches him to try to explain what happened. Embarrassed, she says that she has already packed her things to leave as soon as her mother arrives. Realizing that the girl is shaken by what has happened, Taro hugs her and Tinja asks him not to say anything to her mother. The girl is about to reveal her secret when Sophia shows up to take her daughter to the competition venue. When asked about his bandaged hand, Taro says that he had an accident at work and Sophia decides to do one more training session with Tinja before the competition. When she realizes that the girl still can't do the movements perfectly, the woman gets upset and starts shouting. At that moment, Helmi wakes up and starts crying, so Sophia runs to take her in her arms and treats her as if she were her own daughter. Seeing her mother giving more affection to the baby than to her own daughter, Tinja begins to feel jealous and Ali soon responds. Immediately, the creature approaches the bedroom window and Tinja is distraught to discover that Taro and Helmi won't be with her during the competition, as she's afraid of what Ali might do to the baby while she's away. While waiting for her turn to perform, Tinja tries to control Ali from a distance to prevent her from harming Helmi. However, while the girl is introducing herself, her double breaks into the baby's room with an axe in hand and is about to eliminate her. To protect the baby, Tinja throws herself on the floor and deliberately injures her own arm to stop Ali from completing her plan. Just then, Taro enters the room and the creature decides to escape through the window. Frightened, the man picks up his daughter and, when he sees the axe lying on the floor, realizes that Helmi is in danger. After receiving medical assistance, Tinja accompanies her mother back to the farm and finds Taro furious. The man is convinced that the girl tried to eliminate his daughter and, even though he heard Sophia say that they were in the competition, he says that neither of them are welcome in his house. While her mother goes to talk to Taro in private, Tinja realizes that her secret has been discovered in the worst possible way and feels bad for having caused the end of her mother's relationship. After putting her suitcases in the car, Sophia starts freaking out and hits her head repeatedly on the steering wheel to try to calm down. The woman is furious at being left and blames Tinja for ruining her happiness. All the way back, the two remain silent and when they arrive home, Sophia kisses her husband with her face full of blood. Confused by her mother's sudden joy, the girl goes to her room and hears Ali scratching at the window pane. In an attempt to get rid of that monster and all the problems she has caused in her life, Tinja pushes her into the garden. At this point, Yanni comes across her daughter's double and decides to follow her to find out what's going on, as he notices that the girl has been behaving strangely. However, when he sees Tinja hiding in the closet, the man decides to call his wife to talk to her and, realizing that the girl is dirty, Sophia decides to help her get ready. While aggressively combing the young woman's hair and humiliating her with her words, the woman pulls out a piece of Ali's hair and the creature decides to react. After embracing her, the monster digs its nails into the woman's back and, when she hears her mother's screams, Tinja rushes to help her. Seeing the girl next to her evil clone, Sophia is confused and tries to understand what is going on. At this point, Ali tries to attack her once again, but Tinja uses her body as a barrier to protect her mother and orders the monster to leave. Feeling rejected, the creature starts screaming and its cheeks flush, so it leaves and Sophia tries to understand what it was. When she realizes that she can no longer keep up her lie, Tinja confesses that the monster came out of an egg she hatched and says that everything that happened was its fault. At that moment, Sophia hugs her and, for the first time in a long time, Tinja receives a show of love from her mother. Determined to get rid of the thing, Sophia goes into the kitchen and hands her daughter a knife. The plan is for the two of them to team up to attack the monster and they both start looking for it around the house. Suddenly, Yanni and Matthias appear, so Sophia explains what's going on and asks her husband to look after the boy while she takes care of that monster. During the search, the woman goes into her daughter's room and looks around, but can't find Ali. However, when she sees her, the look-alike comes out of the closet and attacks her. When she falls to the ground, Sophia loses her knife, but just as she is about to be devoured, she manages to reach it. The problem is that when Tinja hits the monster's leg, she also suffers the effects of the attack and tries to stop her mother from eliminating it. Despite all the trouble Ali has caused, the girl still has feelings for her. After all, it was Tinja who hatched her when the creature was just an egg. So, when she sees her mother about to eliminate her, the girl steps in front of her and accidentally gets hit in the chest. When she realizes that she has hit her own daughter with the knife, Sophia goes into shock and doesn't know what to do when she sees Tinja losing her life right in front of her. After the girl loses her life, Ali drinks her blood and her appearance is completely transformed, making her look exactly like the girl. When she hears the creature calling her mother, Sophia stops crying because she has just seen a new opportunity to get her daughter back and maintain the facade of having a perfect family. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.